Want to know how I went from $1 million years to $1 million months? Even after struggling for years to create a business that actually made money. I'm talking about any money. Does this sound familiar? You've built a business. You've tried the strategies. You've implemented frameworks, even hired coaches and invested in courses. But deep down, you still wonder, am I the reason it's not working? I recently taught a free no-pitch live class that showed why your next level of success isn't about working harder, it's about thinking differently. I revealed the 3 money beliefs that helped me go from struggling entrepreneur to building multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses, so you can unlock the mindset and do the same. So why? Why did I teach a free no-pitch class? Well, I wanted to hear from you. Yes, you. At the end of the live class, I asked people to complete a 1-minute 3-question survey so I could learn what classes to teach in the future, what topics would help you build your business, and what you'd find valuable. But I'm not going to talk about that right now. First, I want to explain more about this live class and why I loved it. I'm going to cut to the chase and let you know that I'm going to share a recording of that class right about now, but here's what you can expect from it. The exact money belief shift that I made to go from $1 million years to $1 million months, why failure is your greatest growth tool and how to reframe setbacks and strategic breakthroughs, science-backed ways your mind can literally make you more money, and how to release the pressure and adopt mindset beliefs that lead to real, sustainable business results. This just wasn't a mindset fluff or woo-woo tips. It was a proven framework rooted in personal transformation and real-world results that made me millions. So now, let's dive into the video. Welcome to the 3 money beliefs that made me millions. I am so happy you're here, and I'm so happy that you chose today as the day that you begin to start changing your life, your mindset, and the millions that you are going to make as a byproduct. My name is Jasmine Starr, and I am teaching this live masterclass from Newport Beach, California. Wherever in the world you are, thank you. I appreciate you being here. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Jasmine Starr, and I love to read. I will read cereal boxes. I will read the morning newspaper. I love spending my weekends reading books. And I'm the kind of person that will go to the grocery store and then I'm reading magazines while I wait for people to check out my food. So just imagine my surprise and delight when I read about the spaghetti problem. So professor and researcher Peter Spellman set out to answer the question, who solves problems the best? And I thought this was so fascinating because he took large groups of people, so large groups of lawyers, large groups of students, large groups of CEOs, of engineers, of dentists, and he wanted to know who solves problems the best. So what he did is he got hundreds or thousands of lawyers and put them all together, and thousands of students and put them all together, and dentists all together. And then he gave them 20 pieces of spaghetti, a meter of tape, a marshmallow, and a piece of string. And he asked who could build the highest tower. That was it. So to me, when I read this story, the end was better than fiction because I wanted to know, okay, of all these people, who did it best? So I will tell you who did the worst. The MBA students and the lawyers did the worst because they spent most of their time arguing or trying to decide who was going to be the leader. Okay. Engineers, they did very well, which you might expect it because they build towers for a living. But just imagine my surprise and delight when during his GEL conference presentation, Peter Spellman revealed a photo of kindergarten students taking the grand prize. So that led most of the people to ask, how did a group of 5-year-olds beat professional engineers? And he said, by a simple process of experimentation and iteration. The 5-year-olds just kept on experimenting and changing. And I read the story and I was completely fascinated because what he says, and he stood on a stage speaking to people like you and me, people who are interested in growing our lives and growing our businesses. And he said that the kindergartners won because they weren't afraid of failure. They just simply said, we have a goal. Let's make it happen. We believe we could build the highest tower. And I found that so fascinating because the kindergartners didn't assume they knew the rules. They were just the only group to ask for more spaghetti. They didn't waste time learning how to build. They didn't study how to build. They weren't talking about what to build. They weren't writing a mission statement about what they were going to build. The kindergartners just started creating, making mistakes, and learning. Think about who else can do this. You and me as entrepreneurs. We're going to create, and we're going to make mistakes, and then we're going to learn. So what he said is he stood on this conference stage and he said, the people who were planning weren't learning. The people who were trying and failing were.
So if you are here and you're watching this and you are feeling like you're trying and failing, guess what? You have the possibility of building a very tall tower as long as we did what? Well, what could we learn from kindergartners? I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I have to tell you daily, she is reminding me to apply the right mindset to success and failure. Could I approach building a business the way that my 5-year-old would create a tower? There's no failure. We just have to continue to build. And so, in order for us to get on the same page about building a mindset for millions, I want to come here and be like, this is the mindset. We can't build the right mindset unless we share the 3 agreements I made with myself in success and failure. I am going to share with you everything you're going to need to do and the things that I did to help me build a business, tens of millions of dollars in my business. But there were 3 agreements that I made in preparation of that. So if you would like to have a mindset that builds tens of millions, then what I'm going to invite you to do is to agree to this set of agreements. Because if we're on the same page, then we can excel and expand. So we're going to dive into that. But I do have one small request. This is a pitch-free masterclass. That means I'm not going to sell you anything. However, my one request is at the end, I would love for you to answer a 3-question, 20-second survey. Why? I want to teach more of these free masterclasses, but I want to know what's going to be beneficial for you. I'm going to ask you, like, if you would like a copy of this presentation, we can send it to you, and then what I could do better, what topics you're interested in. So it'll take 20 seconds, but it would be so awesome. So 3 agreements that I made in success and failure. These are the 3 agreements I made before I could change my 3 mindsets. Agreement number 1, if I don't quit, I can't lose. So I'm going to be very honest and let you know that I wasn't, and I am not, the best, the most talented, or special. But what makes me different is I simply don't stop when other people do. I didn't stop when other people did. And I kept on reminding myself, if I didn't quit, I couldn't lose. So let's go back to 2007, where I first came to this agreement. And so I had this dream. I had dropped out of law school. My mom had brain cancer. And I decided with my life, she was 50 and I was 25. And so I promptly had a midlife crisis. And I was like, if I die when I'm 50, do I want to die a lawyer or do I want to take a chance on this dream that I have? So I decided in 2007 to become a photographer, but I didn't even own a camera. And that sounds crazy to most people because it was. And so when I started taking pictures and putting my photos out on the internet, these are the very things that people wrote about me, that I was talentless, that I was uneducated, and that I was doing it wrong. And that alone is very mean and hurtful. But the worst part was that it was true. I didn't have talent. I wasn't educated. And yeah, I'm a self-taught photographer. I was doing it wrong. But then I reminded myself, most people quit right there. If you put something out on the internet, if you sew jackets, if you clean teeth, if you sell digital courses, and I said, you're talentless, you're uneducated, you're doing it wrong, most people would say, you know what, you're right, I can't, this is not for me. But if you told yourself, agreement number 1, I am not going to quit. Because if I don't quit, I can't lose. That first year of photography, I made over $100,000 my first year in business. And guess what? Over time, I became talented. And over time, I got educated. And over time, I figured out how to do it my own way. If I had quit, I would have not earned the right to do those things. So agreement number 1, as we pan ourselves to making millions, a millionaire's mindset, well, then we have to say, I'm not going to quit, no matter what people say. Agreement number 2 that I made with myself before I expanded into a money mindset. Number 2, I don't know everything, but I can figure out anything. So I don't know about you, but remember, I said the first iteration of my career, I started off to be a photographer and I needed to build a website and I didn't know how. I needed to learn marketing and I didn't know how. I'd never done sales before. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, there's so many things I don't know. Guess what? We all face that. And we don't know the answers to everything, but we can learn anything. And so as you're writing notes, I want you to write that first agreement. First agreement number 1, if I don't quit, I can't lose. And agreement number 2, I can learn anything. Let's break this down. In 2009, I started creating digital products for an online store. I had a service-based business And then photographers were asking how I was building my business. Most photographers in their first year would not make $100,000. And they said, you're really not that talented and you're really not the best, but you seem to be making a career out of this. They said, how are you doing that? What are the things that you're doing? And so I had never done this before. I had never created an online store. I had never created a short form videos. I had never created a PDF. I didn't even know how. So I created this online store and I put it like a $19 PDF and I made these short video tutorials for $3. And I have to tell you, it was scrappy and it was imperfect. And I didn't know how, but I decided I can learn. I believe the same for you. If we don't have the agreement that we can learn anything, it's going to be very hard for us to have a money mindset that will get us millions. So what happened? I didn't know what to do, but I believed I could figure it out. I believed I could figure it out. And it resulted in making over $100,000 in my first year, selling a $19 PDF and $3 video tutorials. So if what we're going through here are a series of agreements, agreement number one is if I don't quit, I can't lose. Agreement number two, I don't know everything, but I can figure out anything. And the last agreement before we move into how to create a money mindset is number three, everything is happening for me. Everything is happening for me. And I mean this in the good and the bad and the oh so painfully ugly. I had to tell myself that even when I fail, it's happening for me. You see, back then, I didn't read Peter Spellman's work. I didn't know that failure was the cost of success. I didn't know that in order to build the tallest tower, I had to fail more than other people. And so I want to ask you that question. Does it feel like you've had a series of missteps or things you've started and you couldn't complete it all the way? I am here to tell you that there is no such thing as a misstep. Everything is in preparation of the thing that you are sent ultimately to do. Because even when I fail, it's happening for me. And so on your notes, I just want you to have an agreement with yourself. Everything is happening for me, even when it feels like it isn't. Now let's go to 2014. In 2014, I have to tell you, this is when everything fell apart. And what I will tell you now is that it fell apart then for everything to come back together, better and stronger. Because I will tell you in 2014, I made some really epic mistakes. I lost contracts and I had a lot of sponsorships that were pulled. And I will tell you, it was the darkest time of my career. So in 2014, I had generated $400,000 of revenue. But I was exhausted and I was hurt and I was angry because the other contracts and sponsorships were supposed to be $200,000 in my business. And I felt so exhausted, hurt, and angry. I don't know if you've ever been there before where things outside of your control are happening and you just are like, why? Why is it happening to me? And that was the year that I decided to say, everything is not happening to me, it's happening for me. So it's at this time that everything's coming together, asking me to change my mindset, but on three agreements. Number one, if I don't quit, I can't lose. Agreement number two, I don't know everything, but I can figure out anything. And number three, everything is happening for me. So what happens this year that radically begins to change my business? In 2015, I created an Instagram for Business course and I charged $197 for it. Here's the thing. When other people try to tear you down, you're going to say, I'm going to come back stronger. If you, like me, have never created an online course and you're like, I don't know where to begin, welcome to the club. We don't know everything, but we can figure out anything. And if I don't quit, I can't lose. So what happens on the back of a $197 course? I made $255,000 in 5 days. That was more than the contracts and the sponsorships I lost. That would have taken me a year and I made more in 5 days. I continued to launch that course and in that year made over $1 million. Everything was happening for me. And I don't know what you're going through today, but let me promise you, everything is happening for you if you believe it. So here are the facts. I needed to accept 3 agreements before I can make the 3 money mindset shifts. So are we on the same page? Could you make similar agreements in yourself, in your business? Because Peter Spellman, I wish I would have read his work early on to say the more I fail, the faster I am getting to success. If what? I don't quit. If I figure out what I don't know. And if I believe that everything's happening for me. So if we are having that agreement, let's now move into our money mindsets. Because once I believed I could make money, I have to pause here for a second and let you know I'm the daughter of an immigrant. I'm a first generation Latina. My father is from Mexico. My mother is from Puerto Rico. And my dad came to the United States and he was working up to 4 jobs at one time for his family of 7. I have to tell you, I didn't grow up thinking that I could make money. I thought the greatest that I could ever was hope for was a corporate job with a W-2 and insurance. That was my biggest dream. And then all of a sudden the internet came around and I realized that digital offers could be part of a future for me. So once I believed I could make money online in success and in failure, what did I need to believe about money? So I'm going to explain how we went from $1 million years into $1 million month. And you're going to learn about the 3 money beliefs that made me tens of $1 million as the business expanded. So what I just did in those early agreement years was focus on one part of my career. But after I started creating courses and memberships and masterminds, everything began to extend on the back of that and it became bigger than I ever dreamt. But here's the thing, I would not have been able to hold the space for tens of millions of dollars until I changed my money mindset. And that is what we're going to get into right now. And so my goal here is I hope that this has been valuable so far. I have to tell you, I created this because I'm like, it came to me and I'm like, Jasmine, just teach this class about things that have helped you in the past. And I have a lot more to share and I'm going to keep, talking and you're going to keep taking notes. And we're going to have that survey at the end because I still would like to continue to show up and serve you well. So here we go. The 3 money beliefs that made me tens of millions. Money belief number 1, you're rewarded for results. So if you tell me you help me lose weight and I lose weight, I have a result. If you are going to tell me how to bake the world's best cake and I create this cake that's so much better than I could have ever created my own, that's a result. If you help me how to become a better parent or improve my tennis serve, and then I get results on what it is you teach me, oh, what do? I brag about you. I tell you about my friends, my family. I might even post about you online. Why? You're rewarded for results. Very few people are rewarded for just an idea. So I want to tell you that if you look at your results that you're getting for people and you're getting them, bravo, job well done. Because when you get results, more people will pay you more money. That's it. That's it. What shifted my mindset first was results above everything else, because the best marketing will never be better than real results. So in 2017, my husband and I decided to launch a membership helping business owners create marketing for their own businesses. So we launched and we just had this dream. We're like, oh my gosh, if 500 people can join us in that first week that we launch, it would blow our minds. But what was the main goal here? I'm going to change my money mindset to bring in the changes that I want. We welcomed 2,444 members in 5 days. And we made $1 million that year from the membership. And that was in addition to the other courses and digital products we had been launching. All of a sudden, I said, in 5 days, 2,444 people come in. How do we get them results? Because if we can get results for 2,444 people, game over. So we said, get results, get results, get results. And so we had people in the community come in and say, I used the content that you taught me. I had a reel go viral, 5 million views, 20,000 followers, and we had one of our biggest months in sales. She put that in the community and other people are like, I want her results. So they started doing things and getting these amazing results. So we kept on saying, the better results we get for people, the more people are going to find value in the offer. Results are rewarded. So now I get the honor and privilege to tell you that we have served over 40,000 business owners to create, plan, and schedule their marketing. Results are rewarded. The second money belief that made me tens of millions was that the market is always right. The market's always right. So customers are the market. People who buy from you. That's what we call the market. Now, customers will buy what they desire. If no one is buying, your offer isn't what they desire. I want to pause here. If you have an offer and you've sold it once or twice or just a couple times and you're like, why aren't people more not buying? The truth of the matter is the market's always right. If they're not buying, the offer isn't what they desire. And if I knew the market is always right and people will buy what they desire, my main objective was to say, how do I figure out what people want? What do people really, really want? So I had this idea. And people might say, okay, Jasmine, on the outside, it looks like you put things out and they're always successful. I am here to tell you, in 2024, I wanted to launch a live event. I had this idea. I convinced the team. I'm like, it's going to be incredible. And I said, it's going to be this, this, and this. And we started testing it with a group of people and nobody bought. And so I said, well, maybe we just need to show it to more people, right? We just need to show it more to the right people. And then maybe like 2 people said that they were a maybe. The market's always right. The market didn't want the live event from me at that time. Okay, the market's never wrong. In 2025, we debuted an offer called the Consistent 10K. It's a 90-day program where we teach people how to build consistent 10K months from digital offers. In the beginning, it started off as a tiny little test, but immediately product market fit. Like we started telling people about it and people are like, yes, I'll sign up. Yes, I'll sign up. Yeah, the demand was so much that we actually had to limit how many people could invest. We're like, this is growing too fast. There's too many people who are getting results. The market is always right. Oh my gosh, this is absolutely incredible. The market wanted this offer. The market didn't want that other offer. The market's always right. In fact, here is a testimonial from somebody who in less than 60 days got a 2.5 return on what she invested. And she's like, we're just getting started. We focused on results. She got all of her money back in less than 60 days. She's doing the things she wants. She said yes, the market's always right. So we're talking about the 3 money beliefs that made me tens of millions. But before I share the third belief, it would mean the world to me if you did a 20-second survey. I am telling the team that if we have enough people fill out the survey and tell us what we want, I'm like, I can continue to do more of these. It should take you 20 seconds. So it's like, help me prove to the team that these are worth our time and energy. I love hanging out. I love empowering entrepreneurs. This past weekend, somebody had asked me, so Jasmine, what do you sell? And I said, belief. And then she's like, kind of rolled her eyes and she's like, okay, but really, what do you sell? I said, I sell belief. I sell tools that help people, but guess what? Everybody in the world has a tool that helps people. It's true. But I sell the belief in oneself that this will be the thing to get the result that they want. I have a question for you. What do you sell? Truly, not just an offer. What do you actually sell? The third money belief that made me tens of millions. The first one, what do we know about the first one, right? The first one is results are rewarded. The second mindset belief is the market's never wrong. And third, what I call pricing poverty. Friends, know your worth. Now, I'm going to take a second, and I know I might rub people the wrong way, but I have to tell you that for me, my mindset was limited to how I grew up. We shopped at thrift stores and people left groceries on our porch, and at Christmas time, people from church would take up a donation for my family. And so I grew up in a very limited scope of what somebody would pay, what somebody had to pay, because I grew up and there wasn't anything to invest. So my view of the world was, well, I don't know if people can pay that. Like, who would ever pay that? And then I started asking questions like, why would they pay that? And then deep down, I started asking questions, am I worth that amount? And you might not feel that way, and you might not have grown up the same way I did, but I wonder if a lot of people here are asking those same questions. And I'm going to tell you that when you're asking these questions, you're coming from a poverty pricing mindset. So what I immediately had to change began in 2009. I told you that I was selling $3 video tutorials. In 2009, I had a pricing poverty mindset. Who would pay this? Why would they pay this? Am I worth the $3? And then over time, I started getting emails about people's results. They were saying like, Jasmine, I just made $300 more on this shoot because of what I learned. Another email, Jasmine, I just made $3,000 more on this wedding based on what I've learned. I had an email from somebody say, Jasmine, based on what I learned, I created something in my business that brought in $30,000. I was blown away. They saw the value before I trusted myself. I was selling $3 things when they were getting 300, 3,000, 30,000 worth of results. They saw in me what I couldn't see in myself. So I began to shift my perspective as my business grew, that I was the girl who charged $3 for a video, and I'm now the same girl who charges $30,000 for a mastermind. So what happens? I can charge $30,000 for an 8-month mastermind because I trust the value I provide. In order to access the mastermind, you have to be building a business that's already making over 7 figures. All these women have 7-figure businesses and they want to scale to 8 figures. I believe that they're going to get more than the $30,000 that they invested in the program. So if we change our value proposition and we know our worth, then we're not going to be pricing in poverty. We're going to be pricing in potential and in value. And I have to think right now that you just spent 60 minutes, right? We're going to spend about 60 minutes in this masterclass. And the reason why I'm here is because I wish somebody told me to trust my value. I wish somebody gave me money mindset advice early in my career so I wouldn't be spinning my wheels for so long asking, am I worth it? Who would pay this? Is this valuable? I'm teaching this class because I wish somebody would have told me to invest in myself. I spent so long trying to be like, well, is this the thing? I don't know. If I just do this, if I learn more, if I study more, if I search more for free, if I do it on my own, if I prove to myself. And I believe that when you invest in yourself, you're not just buying education, you're buying time. When I started buying and investing on behalf of my business, they collapsed my timeline. They said, don't make these mistakes. Here's the quickest way to get a result. Here's what you do. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I wasted so many years telling myself, one day you'll get there. One day you can do it. The minute I decided to invest in myself, it was the best thing that I had ever done. And so I am here to remind you, to be the one person who will tell you on this particular day, at this particular moment, bet on yourself. Please bet on yourself. Why? We've made agreements, friends. We said, number 1, if I don't quit, I can't lose. Number 2, I don't know everything, but I can learn anything. And number 3, everything's happening for me. If we agree to those terms, and just like Peter Spellman in Science and Fact said, failure leads to success. If we believe that, then the money mindset becomes focus on results because the results are rewarded. Then the mindset becomes, what is going to happen? The mindset becomes, the market is never wrong. And the third mindset becomes avoid pricing poverty and know your worth.
Welcome back. I know it wasn't a live class, but in the recording, I did my best to create a class that will help you build a business and a life that grows. It'd be an honor to create more of these classes. So here is my clear and specific ask. Can you please complete the 3-question 1-minute survey? It's gonna help me know more about what you would like to hear from me and how I could serve you best. You can complete it at jasminestar.com/October survey. I look forward to hearing from you soon, and thank you for watching and listening to The Jasmine Star Show.